In 96 hours, a former CIA agent has to hunt down the syndicate that abducted his daughter, or else he'll lose her forever. With only his past experience to rely on, will he be able to rescue his daughter before their time is up? Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we'll recap and review an action thriller film called Taken. Let's check it out.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Brian, a former Special Forces officer and retired CIA agent, is living a lonely life away from his family. His only joy is his daughter Kim, who longs to be a famous singer. Now and then, he attempts to build a closer relationship with her. This time, he buys a portable karaoke machine where he even wrapped himself as his gift for her 17th birthday. He arrives at their house where the party is being held. Kim currently lives with her mother and Brian's ex-wife, Lenore, and her wealthy husband, Stuart. He personally gives Kim a gift, and she even opens it happily in front of him, making him happy. However, Kim's attention is diverted to Stuart, who arrives on the scene carrying her gift, a horse. Yes, a live horse.
Yeah, okay, this is a foul move. Brian is already struggling to catch Kim's attention, let alone have some alone time together. Yet Stuart comes strutting in with a new horse. Also, what happened to the gesture of giving normal gifts?
After seeing that Kim is much more delighted with her stepfather's gift that she even left his gift on the floor, Brian's face sours, and the rest of his day is ruined. He even forgets that his friends, who are also former CIA agents, are coming by that evening. Nevertheless, he welcomes them inside and they continue with their barbecue party. One of his friends offers him security supervision in a concert of a world-famous pop star, Shira, during her concert. He accepts it and arrives at the scene the next day. Backstage, Brian tries to ask Shira for singing tips for Kim, but she only replies that Kim should consider another career. After the concert, someone almost stabs Shira. However, it's not his lucky day since Brian's reflexes are faster as he immediately disarms and subdues the man. He hurriedly takes Shira to her car while the rest of the security regulates the situation at the concert. At the car, he confronts Shira, who is currently in shock. After all of this mess, she calls for him and gives him the contact details of the people that could help Kim to become a star. The next day, he meets Kim for lunch and Lenore comes to accompany her. Kim shares her plan to accompany Amanda, a good friend who asked her to spend the vacation in Paris with her cousins. It turns out Kim wants to meet him for lunch to ask his permission to leave the country. Brian expresses his disapproval and adds that there are dangerous people everywhere. After seeing the disappointed look on Kim's face, he tries to tell her about Shira's offer, but she walks out on him. Lenore also expresses her dissatisfaction, even up to a point of calling him pathetic before walking out to follow Kim.
Well, who's gonna regret he signed the papers? I guess everyone was disappointed in him for not agreeing in the first place. Let's save some of the details for later.
Of course, upon seeing that his beloved daughter is upset with him, Brian eventually signs the consent paper. He lays down some ground rules and gives his overjoyed daughter an international phone with his number programmed into it. Right after dropping her off at the airport, she discovers that Kim is not going to Paris but plans to follow a rock band's tour around Europe. He confronts Lenore about it, who is aware of their daughter's plan, and telling her that she doesn't know how dangerous the world is because of how comfortable her life has become. Lenore tells him that if he doesn't let Kim do what she wants, he'll lose her too. After hearing this, he feigns ignorance and sees her off in the boarding area. Upon arriving in Paris, they caught the attention of a hot guy who introduces himself as Peter and offers them to share the same taxi. Amanda, who is attracted to him, agrees and even shares with him their apartment room and the fact that they have the whole place to themselves, a fact that Kim is not aware of. Unbeknownst to them, Peter calls someone and informs the other line of the details about them. Up in their apartment, Amanda plays loud music while Kim goes to the bathroom, causing her to miss Brian's phone call. Growing more paranoid, Brian calls Lenore, who dismisses his worries. Brian calls her for the second time and reminds her of the ground rules. He even demands the number of where they're staying and asks to speak with one of the cousins. She pushes Kim to confess about Amanda's cousins being in Spain. While Brian questions her about other secrets, he sees Amanda getting tackled by a group of indistinguishable men. She immediately informs Brian, who is on the other line. Upon hearing his daughter's distressed voice, he immediately goes into action and sets up a recording device. Kim realizes that the men will be coming for her next, so Brian instructs her to go to the next bedroom and hide under the bed. With a heavy heart, he informs Kim that they will abduct her, so she has to pay attention to his final and most crucial instructions. Kim has to leave the phone on the floor and shout out her abductor's distinguishable features. Even if she's distraught, Kim does what she's told when she gets pulled out of her hiding place. She yells that her abductor is 6 feet tall, has a beard, and most importantly, has a moon and star tattoo on his right hand. Brian could only hear his daughter's screams as they slowly take her away. The abductor finally discovers her phone when Brian hears a breathing noise on the other line. With a calm but threatening voice, he tells the abductor that he will find and bring death upon them. However, he only hears good luck in a mocking voice from the other line before the call ends. He immediately sends the recording to his friend, Sam, who is an ex-CIA agent, and heads to Stewart's home where he looks for clues inside Kim's room. Sam informs them that the person that Brian has talked to earlier is the mobster boss named Marco, a known leader of an underground human trafficking ring, and the tattoo that Kim identified is a group identification.
Okay, but what kind of syndicate that does heinous crimes uses the moon and star tattoos as their identification? Not gonna lie, they could have used a little bit scarier tattoos.
Based on previous reports, they only have 96 hours from the moment she was abducted to rescue Kim before losing her forever. After hearing this, she boards Stewart's private plane to Paris and goes to the apartment where Kim was last seen. In their room, he finds Amanda's memory cards and sees Peter's reflection in one of the pictures. He goes to the airport where he sees him who's already on the move with a potential victim. However, he gets free from him, so he has no other choice but to use a stolen taxi to chase him. After causing traffic, Brian now pursues him on foot, but he was too late when a truck hits him, killing his only lead to his daughter. Brian grows more desperate since 16 hours have passed. He has no other choice but to confide with one of his old contacts, Jean-Claude, an ex-intelligence agent in France who now has a peaceful desk job as the deputy director of internal security. Upon hearing the persons behind Kim's abduction, Jean-Claude warns Brian of how dangerous the syndicate is and tells him not to get involved. Seeing how agitated he is, he informs him to start in a red light district around Paris and hires an agent to follow him around. He pesters one of the courtesans, causing their agent to get mad at him. He takes this opportunity and plants a wire on the man's clothes. He hires an Albanian translator, and with his services, he discovers a construction site where the syndicate is keeping the abducted girls. He enters a makeshift brothel, posing as a customer, and there he sees that the girls have been drugged before servicing the patrons. In one of the cubicles, he sees Kim's denim jacket and knocks off the customer. However, the woman is not Kim and is severely drugged that she cannot answer his questions. Since he is his only lead to Kim, Brian plans to rescue her for more information. However, before this could happen, he goes through intense combat, firefight, and a car chase with the brothel's agents. Fortunately, he manages to leave unscathed. His car, not so much after being shot up. While driving back to his hotel, Brian finally notices the agent that's been tailing him and loses him in the traffic. He also steals a car so the agent will have a hard time finding him. In a hotel, he helps the woman to detoxify from the drugs and let her get some rest. The next day, Brian calls for Jean-Claude, who is searching for him, to send him home because of the mess he's making in Paris. Jean-Claude uses his resources to locate him, but unbeknownst to him, Brian is already 3 steps ahead and outsmarted him. Brian goes back to the hotel to learn some Albanian phrases. After so many hours, the woman finally wakes up and is now sober from her detoxification. He starts to ask her about Kim and discovers that her daughter has given the denim jacket to the woman in a house where they were kept. With the woman's help, Brian was able to locate the house and poses as Jean-Claude and pretends he is there to negotiate the rates for police protection. With his past expertise, he can fool almost 5 heavily armed men in their own territory. Inside the house, he also identifies Marco by fooling him into saying good luck. After subduing everyone, he tries to find Kim around the house, but only finds Amanda, who is dead from an overdose. Since Kim is nowhere to be found, he starts to torture Marco with electrocution and continues to threaten him that he could do the torture all day. Marco finally gives in and reveals that virgins like Kim are being sold in the black market, particularly to a patron named Patrice. After hearing that Marco no longer knows anything vital to his investigation, Brian electrocutes him to his death before leaving the house. Brian then goes to Jean-Claude's house to confront him about the corruption through the police protection they've been providing to the syndicates. He shoots Jean-Claude's wife and threatens him for intel. This leaves him no choice but to reveal information about Patrice before Brian knocks him out. Brian goes to a mansion where a party is currently taking place. He infiltrates an underground room and discovers an auction being held for rich businessmen and VIPs. He enters another patron's cubicle, and while waiting, he finally sees Kim, catered as the best item on the list. He holds the patron at gunpoint and coerces him to buy Kim. However, things don't go smoothly when he gets knocked out before he could even reach his daughter. He wakes up tied up to a pipe, and Patrice orders his men to kill him before leaving.
Since he's the main character, and sure, he's one good ex-CIA agent, he escapes and subdues everyone again. He should consider giving lessons in fighting and self-defense, because he's sure good at it when he's reached this point of the movie without any injuries.
He shoots Patrice, who reveals that Kim is sold to an Arab leader and is now being held at a boat by the bay. He had successfully left the mansion before Patrice's men could even discover his dead body in the elevator. With his incredible stamina, because this man hasn't been resting since the day he got there, he reaches the boat by jumping on the bridge. While Kim is being served by the Arab leader, Brian is having the time of his life by breaking everyone's noses and necks. After combat, he goes through an intense firefight. Despite being outnumbered and visibly fatigued, he prevails and rescues his daughter, who is more than happy to finally see that her father almost broke Paris apart just to save her. He brings Kim back home, where Lenore and Stuart are overjoyed to see that their daughter is safe and sound. By the end of the film, Brian brings Kim to visit Shira in her personal home. He reminds her of who she was before this incident happened, a young girl who dreams to become a singer.
Okay, this movie is definitely for our adventurous girls out there. This is not a movie into scaring you into not traveling anymore, but to help you discern the red flags in a foreign country. Better safe than sorry, right? Well, setting this aside, this movie will definitely keep you on your toes with the action scenes and the impeccable strength that Brian has for defeating anyone who comes his way and saving his beloved daughter. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload, and don't forget to suggest movies that you want us to recap in the future in the comments down below.